Welcome to the International Journal of Operation and Production Management podcast, where we explore the latest research, ideas, and trends in the world of operation and production management. Speaking today are your hosts, Andrea and Oznur, as part of the social media team at IJOPM. In each episode, we'll be speaking with experts from academia, industry, and beyond to gain their insight on the most pressing issue facing operation and production management professionals today, as well as best practice to publish your research in one of the leading journals in the field.
In this episode, we'll be discussing a specific type of article published in International Journal of Operations and Production Management, which is Impact Pathways. To do that, we'll be speaking with two very special guests, Professor Gary Graham and Professor Federico Caniato, who are the editors for this article section at IJOPM. We'll gain a deeper understanding of what impact pathways are and how they differ from other types of articles. And also, the editors will share their insights and perspectives on the role of impact pathways in advancing the field and also offering practical tips and advice for authors looking to publish in the journal.
Gary and Federico, thank you so much for your time and for being with us today. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience, focusing in particular on your role at IJOPM?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Professor Gary Graham. I am based at Leeds University Business School. I'm a professor in operations and supply chain management. I've been basically working as an academic in operations and supply chain management for around about 30 years. And over the last 3 years, I have been working very closely with my good friend and colleague Federico as an associate editor of the new new Impact Pathway section, which forms part of the IJOPM journal.
Hello, everyone. I'm Federico Caniato from Politecnico di Milano, Italy. I'm a professor of supply chain management, and I've been part of the editorial team of IJOPM as associate editor for the Impact Pathway section since the early days, together with Gary, and I'm happy to be here with you today.
All right. This is time to deep dive into the topic of this podcast. We are not sure everyone really knows what IJOPM impact pathways are. Could you please tell scholars in the field of supply chain management and operations management what impact pathways are and what the journal aims for this particular type of contribution?
Well, they are very short articles of approximately 3,000 words. We are looking for things which are very original, which convey the actual challenges and the beauty of the field of operations, which look at current issues and look at trying to guide scholars forward with their research.
Typically, these pieces start from some preliminary evidence that kind of challenges the existing consolidated knowledge. And in this way, they call for new research. And that's why we call them pathways.
Thank you so much for shedding light on these important aspects. Now that we have clarified what impact pathways are, could you please tell scholar what impact pathways are not? Like in practice, what is not a suitable contribution for this section?
Pathway articles are not viewpoints and they are not literature reviews. So we are looking for a practitioner or an empirical basis for them. So they come out of an industrial problem or an industrial question, and then we build around that problem or question. So they're very much empirically and practitioner driven and tie that in with the scholarship.
At the same time, these pieces are not consulting pieces or just reports of some kind of project, because starting from an empirical challenge, they open the way for new research. So they show how the consolidated knowledge is not enough to address these challenges.
These are really useful suggestions. This is another point that might get potential contributors confused. Could you tell us the difference between pure practitioners' papers, like those published in Harvard Business Review or MIT Sloan Management Review, and impact pathways at International Journal of Operations and Production Management?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. I think the journals you mentioned, they're kind of shorter articles, are very much generic articles and very much basic knowledge. When you're dealing with the IJOPM readership, you're dealing with some very, very highly expert practitioners and highly expert scholars in their field. So if it's generic, it won't cut it with them. So what we're looking for is really advanced knowledge, uncovering really advanced scholarship, which then the reader, well, they can excite the reader and lead the reader and future scholars down that avenue. Yeah. So, for instance, we've done things on the Ukraine war, on COVID, the health service. So we've got lots of things we've done in the past where they've been really at the cutting edge, and that has been reflected in the phenomenal citations and downloads that those articles have had. You know, so they've been very relevant, very, very cutting edge, very relevant, very topical, and people have been excited by them and have downloaded them and cited them.
Thank you so much. It seems that journals in different fields have opened doors to these short, fast-track types of contribution, which raise questions about the rigor and quality of the review process. Could you please tell us a little bit more about the review process for impact pathways and how you, as editors, ensure that the same standard followed by a regular IJOPM submission are maintained?
Thank you for the questions, Andrea. Actually, impact pathway go through the standard IJOPM review process. This means that each time a manuscript is submitted, the editorial assistant essentially selects reviewers within a pool of reviewers who are knowledgeable about the impact pathway format. And once the double-blind review are collected, they are given to the one of the associate editors, that is one of two of us, and we process the manuscript. So the procedure is the standard one. The rigor is the same. Of course, we try to speed up the process by asking reviewers to be very quick, given also the limited length of the contributions. And we also offer, as much as possible, advice in advance. So if authors are asking for some advice from us, we are willing to answer, and we really encourage any inquiry that contributors may have, and we are happy to provide answers as much as possible.
Okay, thank you so much, Federico. This is really important to be communicated to the authors. Now, could you please put yourself in the shoes of a scholar who's considering submitting an impact pathway paper to International Journal of Operations and Production Management? Why should a scholar aim for publishing through the impact pathway?
Because they will receive a very supportive and developmental approach from both Federico and myself. We try and help as much as we can and support them and try and develop them. If they've got a good idea, we'll try and push that with them. And we're very patient with them. We don't rush them, and we don't rush the process. So we will take our time to help people where they need it. I think for younger scholars, they face great challenges with a lot of really top journals like IJOPM, trying to get through and build a profile. So if you're not attached to a lead professor, it can be difficult for younger people to try and get their work out there. So for those people, this is a perfect opportunity to develop something on their own or in a team, present that to us, and then we can help develop them. So it's shorter, it's quicker. You're not investing years and years of work to see that blown apart by rejection in a leading journal. So we work with them very closely. We try and help them, and it's shorter and it can get out quicker. So I think the main thing is that it's more developmental, it's much shorter, the waiting period is a lot less, so they can get a result and a decision a lot quicker. And then if they get the shorter version of the article out, then there may be opportunities to build that into a longer full empirical paper.
So,
Yeah.
for a young scholar, what would you suggest them to reflect practitioners' perspective, or a question that would be coming from practice or the market? Do you think that they should first contact practitioners and ask for their opinions or their challenges? Or do you suggest them to work on their research as usual and then convert their research into something that could be suitable for impact pathways?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think it's to do what we call problem structuring, and how those problems are structured. And I think a bit of both. I think you need to obviously a knowledge and an expertise in your field, but then engaging with practitioners to make sure that your work is relevant, it's at the cutting edge, and it's to do with problems now and into the future. It makes it more appealing then for a pathway, if that makes sense. So a bit of both of those, what you've suggested, those alternatives. But like I said, it's about the formulation of the problem, and it's showing how that problem has been formulated, which is quite important to us.
Now, a question regarding the article structure. So one of the main challenges of impact pathways is the capability to communicate an impactful message within a short word length, so approximately 3,000 words. So what suggestion can you give to prospective contributor when writing a research article within these constraints?
This is actually usually a challenge for our contributors, so compressing everything into 3,000 words. We believe this is anyway an important feature of impact pathway, because by being so concise, they can also be very effective and also kind of accessible to a broader readership. So we strongly suggest authors to really have a very clear line of thought in mind and stick to this line of thought with being very, very essential, right? So say everything is really important to say and nothing more. For example, in impact pathway, of course, like we said, we expect some empirical evidence, but does not need to be a full-fledged empirical study, and we do not expect a complete methodological section. It's enough just a couple of sentences explaining where this evidence comes from. At the same, we do not expect a complete literature review section. We just expect to have some very short summary of the key theoretical references that in a way support the claim that what emerges from this evidence is innovative and is not already well investigated and well understood. So really stick to the essential and have a very, very clear line of thought from the beginning to the end, and you can meet the requirement.
Okay, thank you. We believe that one of the main challenges of academic papers and research is the ability to create results that can be easily communicated to the industry and possibly adopted. Do you believe impact pathways could be a mechanism to support and possibly improve the engagement between academic publications and the practitioners?
Yes, definitely. I think it's got a clear role because, as Federico just mentioned, to be precise and succinct and focused in the messaging will appeal to industry. Do you know what I mean? So if they can see the takeaways and the key messages clearly and succinctly, it's going to be relevant. But also remember, it's not just about practice. We're trying to get scholarship as well. We want scholars to be excited by this kind of industrial engagement as well,
Yeah, if I may jump in on this, impact pathway start from industrial practice, and in this sense, they by definition require an engagement between academia and industry. At the same time, they aim to provide suggestions for future research to be relevant to industry. So we really hope that the road that is opened up by impact pathway will also further support the engagement between academia and the industry. That's at least the original goal from which the all impact pathway section started.
Thank you so much. We have one last question for you. Journals and publishers always look for more effective ways to improve their reputation and metrics. In your opinion, in what way can impact pathways support the long-term impact, growth, and sustainability of IJOR, International Journal of Operation and Production Management, as the leading journal in the field?
I think they're very good at catalyzing citation bursts because they come out quicker than normal articles and they can hit a topic like what we did with COVID. We had like about 7 or 8 articles linked to COVID as COVID was unfolding. So we got in right at the source of COVID all the way through. So we've got a series of articles linked to COVID, and all those articles have been really highly cited and downloaded. So they've had a burst. And we know now, with the age we live in, with the social media age and the technology, that everything's spiking quickly and falling off quickly. So we can get these citation bursts, these spikes, very, very quickly through our pathways section. So we're not, like we said, we haven't got this massive time lag and delay from topic, incident, event to publication, which has really kind of held back a lot of academic journals for a long time. I reckon, you know, it's the lead time is too long, you know, to convey things which are news or things which people are interested in, you know.
And in addition to the traditional metrics that we use in academia, like citations and similar, now also other kind of metrics are being developed that look more at the impact on practice and in more widespread audience. And also we really hope that this kind of format will help IJOPM to improve even on that perspective.
Thank you very much for all your answers, Federico and Gary. That's all for today's episode of the International Journal of Operations and Production Management podcast. We hope you found this discussion on impact pathways informative and valuable. We would like to thank our guests, Gary and Federico, for sharing their insights and perspectives on this important topic. And a big thank you to you, our listeners, for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And if you have any feedback or suggestions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you.
Finally, if you are interested in learning more about the latest research and trends in the field of operation and production management, be sure to visit the International Journal of Operation and Production Management website at emeraldgrouppublishing.com/journal/IJOPM. There, you can access the latest articles, submit your own research, and stay up to date on the latest development in the field. Thank you again for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights and perspective with you on the next episode.